Hello, you guys. Welcome to this week's episode of the Expand and Evolve podcast. I'm your host, Carly Pinchin. You know what's so funny? Before I launched this podcast, I recorded like an intro and an outro and all these things. And I'm like, here I am. I just literally hop on, record, say what I'm thinking, post it as is. I literally don't edit anything out. And I just think that's so funny because I'm like, I don't know. I just think you think that things need to be perfect. And I just make it real life. And so real life right now, I am under the weather. I'm feeling a little bit sick. I feel like my chair's a little too high. Is this better? Or is this weird? Do I feel too low? Anyways, I'm a little bit under the weather, not feeling 100%. So if I sound super nasally, I apologize. But last night, so like yesterday, I spent all day in bed, like in my bedroom. I was not in bed all day. I started writing like a book, basically out of nowhere. I just started writing and it just kept coming out of me. And so I was like, is this turning into a book? It was supposed to be a course. And then as I was writing it, I was like, I think I'm writing my first book. Anyways, so not expected or planned. And last night, because I didn't have the kids yesterday, I had all this time. And it's funny because when you have all this time, all week I look forward to the day I don't have them to actually get things done. And then the day comes where I could get nothing, where I could actually get stuff done because they're not with me. And I'm like, I wish they were here. And I'm bored and I have so much free time. And what do I do with it? It's just so bizarre being a mom when you're so excited for a day of productivity. But then when it comes, you also almost feel like you want to rest and relax. It's just interesting. Anyway. So last night you know what else I just did? This is so random. I think I just record podcasts to feel like I'm hanging out with someone and chatting with my best friends. Anyway, so I had no space on my computer. Okay. And I've been sitting with 550 messages in my text for weeks. And I'm I just look at it and I don't even know what to do with it. And so if you're someone who texts me, just know that my response time is either I see it and I respond right away, or I miss it, it gets pushed down, and you may not hear from me for 3 weeks, 1 month, 8 years, I don't know. But I just went through a ton of my text messages that have been sitting there unopened, unanswered, literally some of them from 2023, which is not that long ago, but early 2023, April. So just know I'm sorry if it gets pushed down. It's not in my brain of existence and I just don't end up opening it. Anyways, so I just had to go through and open all of them. And now I'm at 5 and I'm like, wow, this actually feels really nice. I should probably stop letting my email inbox be at 20,000 and my text be at 500 and all my notifications be out of this world. Maybe if I just started handling them, I'd feel more space and more clear. I don't know, just a thought that if you're someone like me, it feels kind of good to have that handled. So last night I was reflecting and I was journaling, and what I noticed and realized what I'm going to be talking about 3 minutes in, and I haven't even told you, is, okay, so I went on my first date. Okay. And it has shown me so much in the last week. It's been a week since we went on a date. And first of all, I'll say too, I've never dated. Okay. I've never dated. I've had boyfriends. Those boyfriends were people I met or knew through school or friendships, or through mutual friends. So I never met somebody with the intention of, hey, I'm kind of interested in you, we should go on a date. I've never done it in my life. This was my first one. Even with my marriage, we got together through we saw each other at the gym sometimes. We would talk that way. We ended up doing a group hangout. So couples, it wasn't just me and him. We ended up going on a walk. I never just met him for a dinner. Hey, never met you before. Let's just see where this goes. I've never done this before. This was the first time. And so, which is kind of crazy. And I think it's kind of cool because I'm it's just so new to me. And so I've been talking to some of my friends and my single friends, some who are new in dating, you could say, some who are my one best friend, she calls herself a veteran. She's I've been doing this for so long, chill. And, anyway, so for me, it's given me a lot of points of self-reflection. Okay. And it's made me reflect on how all of my previous relationships started and how much of a pursuer I am. So when I get my eyes locked in on someone that I'm interested in, this is a man's role, by the way. If you want to talk masculine, feminine energies, this is the role of the man. The man should lock in on you and be I want her. Like, that's it. I want her and I'm going to pursue her and not necessarily chase you down, but like, I know that you're what I want. And so I'm going to put in the effort to have you. And so that's where like the pursuing comes in, the courting comes in, all of these pieces of dating, right? On the man side, the woman is supposed to just like exist and be there, and like you match the energy of the other person. So like if they're kind of texting you once a week, you text them once a week. If they're giving you like, hey, I want to see you again, you're going to match the energy. If you're interested in like, go see them again. And so what I've noticed in this, it's been a week. Okay. What I've noticed about myself, a bunch of different things have shown up for me. And I was just reflecting on it all last night. And so what I noticed about my previous relationships is I was like, dang, was I ever pursued, or have I always been the pursuer? And I reflected and I went, oh shit, like I have initiated every serious relationship in my life. I initiated. Like I locked in. I was like, yep, I want you, and would pursue it in the sense of like, maybe I'd make the first move by like figuring out who they are, finding them on Instagram, connecting with them, or like Facebook, whatever it was back then, or like letting them know I like them. Like, for example, my longest term relationship before my marriage, I remember on Messenger, what even was that? Like Microsoft Messenger, saying we were like flirting back and forth, messaging or whatever. And I think it was like, I want you to be my boyfriend, or like, I'm going to be your girlfriend, like basically initiating the boyfriend girlfriend conversation. Okay. And obviously this is like child love, whatever. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm reflecting on my patterns, right? So I'm just talking through my process last night of me reflecting on my own patterns and my own habits. And like, if I want something different out of this next relationship, or like the person I ideally would like my next person to be like the person I marry and we're life partners. And just my vision for this is that we're so on board and our missions and values are so aligned that like we're able to help show people how to revolutionize relationships and like what a true relationship and an intimate partnership should look like in like the most ideal circumstances, situations, and what you can cultivate it and create it to be. Okay. So I have up my whole PPV list. If you listen to that episode, I go through like presence, personality, values, things that I want, things that I need in a partnership, things that I've noticed I need based on previous relationships, all the things, right? That's like super, super clear. I would say clearer than I've ever been in the past. Like I was always the person who was like, you never know. And like, it's about how you feel and it's about love and your heart. And like, yes. And if you want it to work for a lifetime partnership, you can't really overlook the shit that's going to cause issues 5, 7, 10 years down the road. Right. I'm learning. Okay. This is my first experience. Probably not, because I believe in past lives, but you know what I mean? Like I'm learning. Okay. And so last night I was self-reflecting and going like, shit, like I have pursued every single person. And then I went a little bit further and I went, okay, if you've pursued every single person, did they ever really pursue you back? Or were you so headstrong in like claiming them and making you feel good that you got them and that they want you because you pushed it forward, that you never would have to feel that feeling of rejection? It gave you this sense of feeling wanted or chosen. Because I've talked about this before. I had a major chosen wound of like wanting to be chosen. And I'm like, maybe you've never felt chosen because you've always been the chooser. And they've never even had an option to really choose you. Because honestly, reflecting back, I'm like, I was a love bomber. Yes, this is good, you guys. Self-reflect and call yourself out on your shit. Obviously, you see all the stuff about guys and narcissists and love bombers and whatever. And I don't know if I did it in a way of like, I'm going to fake this stuff to get you. It's not like that. But I would show like, look how loving I am. I just want to love you. And like, I'm going to do this for you. And I'm going to do that for you. And I'm going to do all the things for you to like show you how much I love you and how much I care for you, rather than letting the guy do some of that for me, realizing like, I'm not a wife yet. I'm not a girlfriend yet. I don't need to do all that stuff right away. And so this week, it's only been a week, and I've reflected on like, holy shit, old me would have wanted to, like, this is how much of a man I am. Okay. Like in my deep habits of like being in my masculine, I wanted to like send him something for his birthday, send him something to be like, I'm thinking of you, to be like, look how like, see, I'm thinking of you. Look how nice I am. Like, let me send you flowers for your birthday. You guys, And then my friend was like, you fucking, like, do not do a single thing. Like, this is the man's job. He needs to do the shit for you if he's actually interested and like wants to be with you. She's like, for the love of God, do not do this. And I'm laughing so hard right now because I'm just like, you guys, it's so in me to want to do this stuff. And I'm like, I am a caring person. I am a loving person. Like, I want to make people feel special. And in a relationship, like, I want them to feel loved. I want them to feel adored, cherished. All the things I want to feel, I want to give to them too. And so it was just so like, oh yeah, in every past relationship, I've done this, like gone over and above, gone over the top, make sure they feel special, make sure they know that I'm interested, make sure they know that I care about them, all the things. And so back on the chosen thing, I'm like, did I ever even give them an option to choose me? Or did I like force myself? Which, if you've read The Way of the Superior Man, you guys, this book is so good, but it talks about how a man's job is to penetrate. And this is why men have a, hard thing that penetrates, and women are open, cyclical, like flowy, open circle. The man is supposed to charge ahead, charge forward, go after what he wants. The woman is supposed to just like exist and be penetrated, in terms of like, you exist as you are and you receive what's coming into you. And so this is like my whole system. This is so new for me. I have never sat back and been like, stop. Like, you don't need to pursue. You don't need to do anything special. You don't need to chase after him. You don't need to show how great you are. You don't need to show anything. Like, if he doesn't see it right away, like, he's not your person. If he doesn't see that you are the most amazing thing, that you are the prize, that you are like the most amazing thing on this planet, he's not your person, or it's just not the right time. But like, you shouldn't have to shift or change or show anything. Like, they should be able to tell. And I've heard this and I've seen this, that most men know right away. Like, they kind of categorize you of what they see you as. Like, are you wifey? Are you someone they want to have a one night stand with? Are you someone that's more casual? Are you someone that they're not really interested in, but like would keep you around because like you seem cool? Like, they know, and they categorize this quickly. And so I'm like, as the female, because I'm becoming a woman now, I'm becoming a girl. Remember, wasn't it last year I was like, I'm going to be a girl this year? I think I am becoming a girl, just throwing it out there. But I'm realizing like how much of in dating and like relationships, I've been kind of a dude. Like, I pursue and I go after what I want, and I get what I want. Okay. And this is another thing. I get what I want in everything. When I want something, I get it. I will do what I have to get it. I'm learning now that sometimes there's blockages and they're on purpose, and I don't need to be such a like stubborn-headed bull, I'm a Taurus too, and go after it when it's not actually for me. I'm like, just trust that the things that are for you are going to come to you, and it's going to flow, and it's going to be easy. But I go after what I want, and I get it. If I say I'm going to have something, I get it. And in this moment, I like wanted him. And so I had to realize, like, me wanting him though, in like the emotional high of everything, doesn't necessarily mean it's the best thing for you. And so I had to realize, like, oh shit, in the past, when I've been like, nope, I'm locked in on you. I want you. I get what I want. So I'm going to go after you. And now I feel validated because I got you. When really I may have pushed forward and pushed something forward that like wasn't for my best interest or wasn't for my highest good. No matter what, I feel like everything works out as it should. And you're going to, even if you push forward and you push past your blocks, you're going to learn a lesson. And me and Yin talked about this on one of the episodes. And like, this happened with me in the past with this other situationship that happened after me and Daniel, where like I was being blocked, but I'm such a stubborn headed, like when I get like one track mind, when I want something, I'm getting it, that like I was pushing past the blocks, even though it ended up in a shitstorm. So it's like, okay, bitch, if you're going to keep pushing, like, here, have it. I've been trying to block you. I've been trying to protect you, but you're so stubborn that you want it so much that like, sure, fine, go after it, push through the blocks. And the way, I can't wait to share this story one day, you guys, it's going to blow your mind. But the way it blew up on me was like, okay. Like, I trust you. I understand now that like when I'm trying to push through things and trying to push through my blocks, like, just have the faith that it's being blocked for a reason. You don't need to know. And that's another thing. Like, I want to know everything. I want to understand everything. And so I'm being blocked, and here I am trying to push through it. Not saying that this is what happened in this situation, right? But I was self-reflecting so much last night, because I'm like, when we were on the date, he asked me what I wanted, and I wasn't super clear. I said something like I had an answer, but I was like, dang, like that wasn't very concise. And I think I'm clear because like I have a PPV list, I have all these things, but I'm like, if I don't like know within a minute what I really want and I can't articulate that, like I need to get more clear. And I also need to be able to come off of the emotional high of like wanting to chase after what I want and be able to be like, chill out with the emotions of like, ooh, like this guy fits this. And like, it was such a good date. Like we had so much fun. It was so easy to connect. It was so flowy. Like it was so good. I was totally I finally understand Taylor Swift's Eras tour. Cause I'm like, I get it. I felt like it was in my Lover Girl era. I was like, oh my God, like, like it was so good. And so fun and like so easy to connect. And I'm so glad that was like my first date since the marriage because I'm like, it was so easy. Like it was so flowy and good and not weird. Like I've heard some stories about first dates and like just dating in general. And I'm like, no, it was perfect. Like it was so good. But what I realized is like on that high of like, okay, I can get what I want. Part of me wanted to do this pursuing thing. And I had to catch myself to be like, we are not repeating the patterns. So this is where doing your own self-reflection, having your own self-awareness to catch yourself in it, to be able to be like, oh, this is something I've done in the past. And like, that didn't work out for me. Like if I'm seeking out wanting to be in my feminine and wanting a man who's in his like divine masculine, for example, I can't be the pursuer. Like that's not bringing in a masculine man. That's me being the masculine man. Like I need him to be the masculine, which means he's going to pursue. He's going to make it known that he wants to be with you. He's going to set up next dates. He's going to want to keep talking to you. He's going to be consistent. He's going to lead in the sense of even that courting process, he will lead, right? So I need to stop trying to be the leader. And it made me reflect again on like a call I did with Danny like a year ago when I did my one-on-one call. Because if you guys don't know, I'm in his mastermind program and it's been so freaking good and so helpful for me to like have just a different form of leadership. Like when you're in leadership yourself in business, there's no one really leading you. And so I've had to seek that externally out of the business that I'm in to have leadership, to have people who are ahead of me and where I want to be, to paint the vision, help me get there, all the things, right? And so he had said to me, he was like, you're a big energy. And I was like, I am? Like, I didn't feel like I was being that big. He was like, no, you are. And you need to decide, like, do you want him to match that, be like quieter than that, or like above that? And like, these are another question that I'm like, that's a good question, because I've always been so like open. What I was saying earlier, I never complete a thought. I'm so sorry. Where I'm like, oh, it's just how you feel and it's your heart. And like, love shouldn't be about this, this, and this. It's like, if I'm not clear, I'm going to attract all kinds of stuff. And then I'm going to make it work with someone who like I should have known from the beginning it wasn't going to work with based on those things not being there. Right. And so I decided that day, I was like, no, I actually, and I think I said this in the PPV episode, and like calling in your ideal partner, but I was like, no, I want him to like match it or be more so that like he could be shining sometimes and I don't have to be like the person who's energetic and on and like conducting a room. Like I would love to have a partner that I can like hang off his arm and like let him be that for me and like, handle that kind of thing and be able to handle his own. And like, do so much stuff that's social. I don't want to be babysitting. Like I want you to be able to be good, be able to handle it, that like you're super likable, super social, all the things, right? I feel like for me, that's important. Anyways, where was I going with this? All I know is you need to, sorry, I'm still sick. You need to be willing to self-reflect and notice your patterns and how you ended up where you are. If you were sitting in a victim, like, I don't know how this happened. And like, I find all these guys that are like this, this, and this. It's like, you're finding guys like that because of who you are being. The only reason you're attracting those type of people is because of who you are being. Like if this is going to be really harsh for some of you, but if you've attracted abusive relationships, okay? And I'm not calling you out because I've been in it. I was in one. You want to know what attracted that? I had no self-worth. I had no self-worth. I had no self-love. I was shape-shifting. This is another point I need to make to you guys. I was shape-shifting to fit myself into what he may have wanted me to be, to receive love, to receive the validation. So I shape-shifted. I put my morals and values aside. I forgot about who I was, and I tried to become who he may have wanted me to be to try to get that relationship, get that love, seek that validation. Why did I attract an abusive partner? The only people who have abusive relationships, you guys, are the people who don't have self-worth, don't have self-love, don't have value in themselves. When you don't know who you are at your core, you attract those kinds of people to you. They see that. And they're like, they know that they can push. And abuse doesn't usually just happen. You don't usually end up just getting punched in the face on your first date. Like that type of abuse, like the physical, the mental, it builds. And it builds typically with emotional before the physical ends up happening. And when you're blaming other people and you're like, these guys are like this and it's like, no, it's you are attracting that to you. And it's really hard sometimes to look at that and to admit that and be okay with that. But like, you're creating your reality and it's based on who you're becoming and who you're being. And so for me, I've had to take that time over the last year and go, all these things I wrote down about the person I want to be with, like I have to also become an energetic match for that. I have to become that. If I'm still not 100% in my core and my values and like standing firm in my truth and what I know to be true, I'm going to attract, you can think of it as like lessons. You can think of it as tests from the universe of like, okay, let's just see. Let's see if you've really mastered this one before we give you what you really want. And I don't know where this is going, right? Like I don't know for sure. All I know is I can feel that there was a soul tie there because this has happened in the past for me where all of a sudden I'm like, I don't know what this is, but you're supposed to be in my life to teach me something. And so I lock in on that. And this was one of those things. And it honestly came to me in a dream like 2 weeks ago or so, where I had a dream. He was in my dream and I texted him right away. And I was like, you were in my dream. We're supposed to meet for some reason, like whatever. And he was like, I'm going to be in Vancouver. Let's hang out. So regardless, if it was like this one date thing, that's all it's supposed to be, I'm good with that. But there was lessons in it for me because going on this date is allowing me to self-reflect massively on myself. And it's making me realize, oh shit, you were a shapeshifter. Like I used to pride myself and like, I'm a chameleon, I can fit in anywhere. And yes, this can be a really, really great survival tactic, especially if you grew up in trauma or abusive homes or whatever, and you had to read the room and read emotions in order to minimize like conflict. I was really good at this. And reflecting back on my relationships, I'm like, I didn't change 100% like the core of who I am in every relationship, but I was willing to overlook myself, overlook what my body, my somatic body was telling me in relationships, overlook my own nervous system, overlook my own body cues, overlook my own things that I found important or worthy in the name of making a relationship work. And what I'm realizing now is like, if I can just like come out of the lover girl era where I'm like, oh my God, we could be this and this and this could be perfect. And I'm projecting the relationship I want onto a person that it's not even real. It's not even there yet. They have not even shown me that they can be that person. But I have this image of what I want a relationship to be. And so you come into my life and now I'm projecting this onto you as if you can make this a reality when you may not even be the person who can do that. But because I want to be so like loving and caring and adore you and respect you and like create this amazing relationship and like be married and have kids and like create this partnership, this image I have, this fantasy I have within me, I'm projecting onto this individual when that's not even a real thing yet. That doesn't even necessarily mean it will ever be that thing, but I'm projecting it onto that person when like they have not even shown me that picture that I've created. I've just made it up. And what I realized is I went, oh shit, you in the past have shifted to become what you think they want you to be. And not massively, but in small ways. And I think if you really reflect on that and you realize that like you may have done that before, shifted in small ways, think of how that adds up over time. You wonder why you're not really sure who you are. You've lost yourself and you like can't connect with yourself in a relationship. It's the small things. It's the little moments. It's the little pieces where it doesn't happen in big ways in the beginning, but they're small things that had you been like, yeah, no, like based on my standards and my non-negotiables, like this is not meeting that. I'm done. I'm choosing myself. That's hard when you don't have a core worthiness and like that self-love and that self-value. That's really hard to do because you're willing to shift to seek that external validation and that love that you're so deeply craving. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like we all as individuals want that. Like we want to feel worthy and chosen and adored. Like there's no way, man or woman, you don't want that. Like you want to feel those things. Those things feel really, really good. But what are you willing to overlook in your core self to get that? And I had this come up for me too, where I went, holy shit, like the thought of sleeping with somebody, right? I know my core values is, oh my God, I would never sleep with someone on a first date. It's a sacred energy exchange. If we don't even have an emotional connection, there's no way I'm opening my body to you, because I don't want to take that in. I don't want to take that energy in. I don't know enough about you to take in the energy that comes from that exchange. Core me in this space right now, knows that to be true. On a date where it's very much like you can feel it and it would be real fun to go bang. I don't know what the right terms would be for this. To have to stay in your core values, you guys, when you have emotions going and hormones going and all these things going, that is not easy. Like deciding to go home instead of like going and hanging out and taking it one step further, not easy. But when you are firm in your values, your worth, and your non-negotiables, you can make that choice despite the emotional, hormonal fluctuations that are happening. Does this make sense? Same thing as, for example, like I want communication that shows me that I'm a priority, that I'm important, and that like you're interested, for example, right? So even to be like honest, like the communication beforehand, I was like, this is so wishy-washy. Like it's giving me F-boy vibes. I'm trying to be mindful of my language because I know you guys said kids listen sometimes. And so that right there, not being like, oh, but he's so this and he's so that and he's so this. It's like, no, this communication is actually not at the standard that I'd like it to be. And so I'm noting that. Doesn't mean that the first time you text or something, like it means it can't work, right? You don't have to be that critical, but noting it, not abandoning all these ideas because you're like, but he's so cute and it could be like this. So like, I'm just going to pretend it's like this fantasy. It's not real life. And so it's making me go, okay, in the past, there's so many things, and you call them red flags, but I never really got that because I'm like, but there wasn't big red flags. Like, I think red flags are like really like, whoa things. These are like, I don't know what you call it, like yellow flags, just like medium things that I'm like, okay, to me, it's showing like the commitment level, right? Like the respect level. It's showing me how important or like how serious you're actually want to take this. And so for me, it's like, if you're wanting something really serious, if you're looking for a husband, if you're looking for marriage, to like mess with a guy who's not, like, it's a waste of your time. Even if he could be great, even if he has potential, everybody has potential. It doesn't mean that you need to turn this into a relationship, right? So I just really realized from that experience how much in the past I have made things work and pushed and pursued things that had I let it be in the man's hands, may never have come into being a thing in the first place. Like they may never have turned into a relationship because they never really pursued me. So for me, it's like, you wonder why you never felt chosen? You didn't even let them choose you. You like forced them into it by being such a freaking pursuer. And my wifey mug today, because I've decided again last night, I was like, what do you want? And I was like, I want a marriage. Like I saw this TikTok the other day. It was like, I don't know how to date. Like I'm a wife. Like I'm ready to like put the kids to bed and like be at home and stay in and all the things. And I was like, that's me. Like I'm such a wife that I don't know. And I'm not going to play these games. Like I'm not going to play the like hard to get or like not being available or not showing I'm interested. Like, no, I'm not doing any of that shit. Like I am who I am. And he said this too, like on the date, he was like, you just are who you are. Like you're not nervous. You're not, which I'm like, this is another thing that I noticed. Okay. You guys, why do I do this? Where I go off the tangents into like 9 million directions. Anyways, he'd been like, you're just here and like, you're just so who you are and you're like confident in who you are and you're just existing as you are. Like you're not trying. And I was like, I know, thank you. I just exist. So that's huge. Like to me, that's a massive compliment because even that, you know how you hear, if you guys are single, you've probably seen this stuff on like TikTok and Instagram. I've seen these videos where it's like, if somebody gives you all the butterflies and your body's like freaking out, it's your nervous system like telling you like, this is not good. But we think it's like, oh my God, I felt so many butterflies. I'm like, eh, and it gets you excited. I didn't feel that. I felt totally calm and safe. And I was like, why do I feel like I know you? Like this felt so like homey to me. And to me, I'm like, that's what I want to feel. Dates moving forward, people moving forward that are in my life. That's how I want to feel. Like I want to feel like I'm just existing as I am. They're existing as they are. There's no wild charge. Like, it's, to me now, I'm like, yeah, when that's happened in the past, it's usually been toxic as F, but it's fiery and it's fun. And so it draws you in, which is not necessarily a bad thing, right? My nose is running. But I want it to feel comfy and homey, and like we're both just able to be exactly who we are. Like, no one's trying, no one's like trying to be someone they're not. You're just actually existing as you are. And so, anyways, what I was saying is, I had to get really clear last night, and I was like, if I couldn't answer him in 1 second on what I truly wanted, why did I pause? Because I do know, but like, I need to be able to clearly say that and like be able to not even just express it to him, but for myself. And I realized, I was like, okay, well, I want to be a wife. Like, I want to look for a life partner who's going to be able to have the same mission and values, and like we're aligned on that, and like we're both committed to creating the most beautiful partnership together. Like, we understand there's like stuff from the past, we understand all of that, and it's okay because we're choosing each other, and we know that there's things that need to be worked through, but we're committed to our own growth individually and then as a partnership to help each other move through this stuff. And this is the beauty of relationship and partnership, especially like whether you're in a relationship right now or you're single. In a partnership, they're going to trigger you. They're going to bring up stuff in you. That's where, if you just stay single for a really long time, it can get so comfy because nobody's bringing anything up in you. You get to just exist untriggered. Where when you're in a partnership and relationship, like, it's going to bring stuff up. It is going to bring up the wounds that you thought you had navigated or worked through that you have not. And even this one date showed me some of the things that I'm still like, oh, that's still kind of there. And not so much of like a wounding, more of like an awareness that the being chosen. So for example, him not bombarding me with text messages and like wanting to telling me he wants to marry me the next day and like planning our wedding. I'm like, oh, rejection. I'm not being chosen. I know this is illogical, right? But this is like the emotional side of it, where I had that feeling for a minute. And then I went, what the hell? And then that's a test on me of like, is this going to impact how you feel about yourself? Is it going to impact your worth? Because if you know your core and you know your worth, this should not be impacting that. You should know you're worthy regardless of some man, whether he chooses you or not. Like, you only need one. You only need one person to choose you. It could be him, it could be someone else. It doesn't matter. Like, the right person is going to choose you, right? So not questioning my own worth if we're not meant to be together. And it just made me go, oh, wow, okay. So the chosen moon came up. Rejection, which I'm like, I've never been rejected from anything I've wanted because I've pursued the shit out of it and made them mine. So this is the first time I've gone on a date where I didn't make it a relationship for the rest of my life. What else did it bring up? It brought up, honestly, those were the biggest ones. And then the pursuing part of like having to stop myself from being the pursuer, which are all amazing things to have happen because it's helping me shift those patterns that I used to operate in. And for me, I'm like, this is really showing me how much work I've done because I didn't just automatically go into them. But nervous system wise, like the impulse reactions wanted to do all of that. And I had to go, whoa, like, take a step back. This is not what we're doing. Chill. So I just think it's so valuable and like such a fun experience. And honestly, you guys, my nose, sorry. I'm excited to just share as these like processes continue. I was so nervous to go on a date. Like, I had Hinge in the summer, like end of summer, I think. Yeah, when I left Australia, they were like, download Hinge. And so I did. And there's been some people I've talked to, but I'm like, for me, I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I didn't feel a pull. And then that's for me. I'm like, am I just worried about opening up, or am I just not feeling like there's something there? I don't know. Right. This is just like playing around with it, seeing, but it's making me just really stand firm in my own values and my own worth of like what I know I want. And what I will say too is, out of seeking, wanting to be given that like validation and the chosen moon and all the things, like, you guys know, like, I'm not a fan of, for me anyways, I just feel like it's my responsibility as a female who has females looking up to me to not continue to push this image of like what's the right word? Like, unrealistic standard of beauty, of all the Botox, all the fillers, the surgeries, the editing on photos, like all these things. for me personally, I feel like it's my responsibility to choose to not contribute to that, because I want to set the standard that like, you don't have to do these things to be beautiful. And in that, it was like, okay, but if I had the big butt and the big lips and the frozen face and like I got all hot, like, you know, like the Instagram model type girls to like gain attention, it had me think about this. And I went, whoa, like the fact that you are considering everything that you stand for, shifting that to gain attention, like this shit is deep, you guys. This shit is so ingrained in us to like want to use our external to like gain that attraction and gain that interest. I was even questioning this stuff, which is, if you guys know me and you listen to me, like, can you believe that? And for some of you, you probably think like, she knows she's so worthy and she's so confident, she's so this and that. And I'm like, in that moment of not getting the immediate like high of validation, I was thinking about going against my morals and my values to gain the love, attention, and validation. And that is where this goes so deep. For like, when I say this, and someone messaged in one of our group chats the other day, and she was like, what are you thinking about getting boob implants at like 37? And I was like, what are you wanting it for? Like, what if we tried to love our bodies and know that like doing that shit to our body, it might feel good temporarily, it might get you a little bit of external validation, but it doesn't actually feed your soul. It doesn't make you feel worthy. It doesn't make you feel loved and adored the way you're wanting to by having fake boobs and getting some attention from that. That's what you're wanting. You're like seeking that external validation to just make you feel something, to make you feel wanted, to make you feel worthy, to make you feel pretty, to make you feel like desired. And those are feelings you should get from like a very, like an intimate connection. It shouldn't be just based on how you look. And I don't know how this conversation came up while we were on the date too, but I was like, my assets, like me having boobs or a butt or any of this stuff, or like the way my body looks, is a plus. It is not the thing I want attracting a man to me. If a man is only physically attracted to me, and this is where I've talked about this with my friends too, being single, where it's like, oh, I could seek a bunch of male attention by like posting all the boob stuff and posting all the butt stuff and posting all the body stuff and being like, look how hot I am. Like, tell me I'm hot and that you want to bang me. But that is not the attention that I want. If I'm seeking that out, am I calling in the guy that I want to be my husband? Like, if that's what he's attracted to, I'm like, there's wounding. If that's what he is pulled in by and it's not my heart and not my core of who I am, it's wounding. He's going to be the kind of guy that's seeking out external validation also. There's no way that a super conscious-minded man seeking out a life partner is going to see the fake boobs, fake butt, fake everything on Instagram and be like, my wife. Like, it's just not possible. From wounding, maybe. From like wanting to bang her, maybe. But like from wanting to be with that person for the rest of their life. So like you get that instant hit of validation. You get that quick hit of like, ooh, a guy wants me, look how hot I am. But it's not fulfilling. It's the same way that like you may feel fulfilled for 5 seconds, that like, oh my God, he wanted to have sex with me, so like I feel so good, and like it gives you a temporary hit. It's like a drug hit. It's like the temporary high you get from doing drugs for the first time. It gives you a secondary hit to make you feel good and give you all those endorphins, but how do you feel after? How do you feel when those things drop off? You don't feel good. You don't feel good about yourself. If you're consciously choosing because you just want to have sex, that's different. But if you're doing it out of the place of, oh my God, I like hope I feel valued and like loved and like I just want this attention and this like quick source of validation, so like I'm going to open my body up to have sex with you to feel wanted, you feel like shit after. I've watched it growing up with friends who like were really easy to sleep with people, and they'd feel like shit about themselves after. They always did. Their worth was super low. When you're high value and have high worth, you're not going to be willing to do that, because you know that how you feel is way more important than like giving them some sense of anything or like seeking a sense of validation externally. You know that that validation is from within, and you're going to feel so much better in 2 days when you didn't, and you're like off the emotional high that you're like, I'm so proud of myself for not opening myself up to that. Because what happens when he doesn't give you that love story that you just imagined? You're going to feel like shit. Because when he realizes like, oh yeah, I just like banged her and whatever, and doesn't really care, like you're going to not feel good. So just knowing that, like, for me, it was such a good reminder of I need to stay so clear on my non-negotiables, my morals, my own values. And just, it was very eye-opening how willing in those moments I almost was to shift again, to shift myself. Where I'm like, the person, this is what I wrote down last night. Here's what I know to be true. The man I'm supposed to be with will never make me question my worth. I'm going to know that he's obsessed with me, and I will never feel anything less than that. I won't need to question my worth. I won't need to question where I stand or how he feels, because he will make it known. And that's going to be my new mantra. And like, if you don't give me that, then like, okay, that's fine. But like, the person I'm supposed to marry and like is going to see me as this like goddess queen that he just wants to be with for the rest of his life, like I'm going to know that, because he's going to be so locked in on like, this is her. Like, he's going to be so clear on what he wants that when he sees me, he's like, that is the one. This is who I've been looking for my entire life. And until then, I don't know. The dating chronicles continue, or being single continues. I don't really know. I wish you could, like, this was live and you guys could ask me questions. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say. Just that, yeah, I don't know. Work on your own self-worth. Work on your own self-value. Work, oh my gosh. Work on knowing how to put yourself first. Work on choosing yourself every single time. Work on knowing your values so clearly that in the emotional high of like a new relationship or a new fling or whatever, you don't choose to put those aside out of the wanting to be wanted or chosen. Because even with the work I've done, I was almost willing to do that, which shows me a lot. But I feel like this was almost my test of like, can you maintain your values and your core beliefs when you're faced with like, I don't know, the presence was perfect. Like, based on my list, I looked over it. I was like, dang, he's like got it all. But values, was it, and personality, I don't know for sure, because obviously we don't know each other that well. But to be put in that position of like not willing to also settle, like just because he meets presence wise, if the personality and the values aren't aligned, like I should never, ever even consider, and this is what I'm like vowing this to myself right now, I will never allow myself to consider overlooking those two most important things. Like, presence is important, but the values and the personality, like that is everything. And I'm just like, I'm vowing to myself right now, like if those things are not met and are not shown, like I will never question myself, my worth ever again. Because in that moment of like, you know, the come down, like I was willing to question that. And that's insane for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're being insane. Like how could you do that? But that just shows you how powerful like the intimate connection of like male, female, or whatever partnership you're in can be. And how much you may have done this in the past where you totally overlooked things that you knew better deep down, but you were willing to overlook it out of the sake of validation and love. And so I'm just committed to like never, never, never. So wherever this goes, like it doesn't, to me, I'm like, whatever. But knowing that I feel so much better, like getting crystal clear myself, because now I'm like, oof, girl, you were like willing to drop all of that just to like get some man's validation. Like, of course it was 333. To me, that's crazy. That is crazy. But we do this as women. Maybe men do it too. I don't know. But as women, we do this. We do this a lot. And I'm just like, we need to stop doing that, because I don't even know if I like these terms like high value man, high value woman. I guess it like makes sense. But if that's what you want to call in, like you can't mess with that. And I was just talking to my friend on the phone and she was like, a guy is not going to want somebody who's better than them. So you could be a freaking queen, but you're messing around with these clowns or messing around with these guys that are like low level, like they don't have their lives figured out. And so they're not going to choose you. Obviously you're worthy of being chosen, but like they're going to choose the person who makes them feel better about themselves. And another thing to make note of, the guys who are committed to their own growth and development are going to see that in you. And they're going to know like, this is wife material, because I want someone that holds me to a high standard because I want to become the best I can be. Where a guy who doesn't want that, doesn't want to be challenged, wants to stay in his comfort zone, doesn't want to be pushed, is happy, no offense, but like in a 9 to 5 where he doesn't have to think, doesn't have to do much, doesn't have to chase anything, doesn't have to grow his life, he's not going to want to be in a relationship with you because you challenge him to grow and be better. But I'm like, to me, like a real man who has like found himself is going to know that he needs that. Like that is one of the most important qualities in a person that you're going to bring into your life as a wife for the rest of your life, is you need someone who's going to be like, you can do better than that. And not in a like putting down way, but in a challenging way of like bringing him up to pursue his purpose and his mission at the highest level. And he's going to be able to see that, and he's going to know that, and he's going to find value in that. A little clown that's like a little baby boy that doesn't want to have to grow up, he's not going to see value in that. So if you're that person who is committed to growing and expanding and evolving and is becoming a freaking queen goddess, amazing human being, please stay committed to that. Don't drop your values for a cutesy little guy. Don't do it. Don't do it. Hold the faith, hold the trust. I'm going to bring my friend on soon, and we're going to do a podcast who's been dating for a long time. She got super clear on her list. The man who was like giving her everything she ever wants has arrived. She had to be patient. She thought she was going to be alone forever for a little while, but like she had to do her own growth, had to become that version of herself. And like she's showing me right now, like, hold the faith, because they're out there. And I think this is one other thing I wanted to say. The minute that I was like, F this, like I am done playing with these guys who are not on my level. And this is not out of like a conceited thing. This is like, I own a like very successful business. Okay. I have my own home. I have kids. I'm responsible. I can handle myself and like handle my kids and know how to be a mother and know how to be a wife and know how to handle all the shit in my life. Right? Why in the world would I even consider not being with someone who's an energetic match or above? But me, based on worth before, would have. Because it's out of love and heart, and it's not about money, and it's not about money. But to me now, I see money as like if you don't have your business life figured out and your finances figured out, there's other shit that's not figured out. There's other shit within you that you don't have mastered. Because if you were being your best you, money would be easy. You would know that. Money would be flowing to you. You would know that. Especially as a guy, especially as like at their core wanting to be a provider, they should have that figured out. And so I made the declaration. It was like a couple weeks ago. I was like, if they don't have that, like I am not messing around. Like I'm not even going to create space. Like I'm done. I'm creating a bubble. Like you either are energetic match or above, financially, business wise, or this is never going to be a thing. Okay. Created the boundary. Boom, done. Never again. The next day, I like opened up Hinge because I was at my friend's house. And I'm like, every single one was like CEO, business owner, these guys on Instagram. I think I talked about this. I think he was on a podcast, started following me. And I just realized as I was like thinking about recording this, I was like, yes, business owner, CEOs, exactly what I called in. But if you don't take it one step further with being so crystal clear, sure, I got that thing. It's like, okay, you want business owners and CEOs? Here you go. But some of them douchey, like not good people. I can already sense it in their energy. So it's like, you have to get clear. Because when I said, okay, they have to be energetically matched for me or more, some of them have awesome businesses, super successful. Douchey vibes though. Energy wise, I'm like, like you need to do the work. You think that you've like got it all because you have money, but you haven't figured out like the internal stuff. And so I'm like, okay, get more clear. And that's where it comes back to when you have your list of PPV, you can be like, these are my non-negotiables, very important, but don't forget like the personality part and the values part. Okay. Okay. Anyways, keep you posted on my dating chronicles as I open myself up to the world. But I'm going to declare it here right now. This is just like my feeling. The man, my man that I'm supposed to be with is going to find me. Whether it's through Instagram, YouTube, podcast, shared somewhere. The man I'm supposed to be with is going to find me. I'm not looking. I'm just existing. I'm being myself. I'm being 100% myself. And he's going to find me. I don't need to go looking. I'm a projector. I'm waiting for the invitation. He will come to me. And then I will match the energy when he finds me. Okay? So when my future partner finds me on Instagram And then we build this amazing relationship that I'm so excited to build and show the world of the way it should be. And the beauty and like true intimacy and how amazing intimate partnership can be. I can't wait. I'm creating and becoming that person myself to call in that person. But I'm saying it right now, declaring it to you first. He's going to find me. Love you guys. Thanks for listening. Share it if it was helpful. Message me if it was helpful. I love when you guys share it. So thank you so much for listening. Love you so much. Thanks for hanging out and listening to my diary, which is like, what's funny? Putting this on like podcast is totally fine. But once this opens up to YouTube, that's like a whole world of haters. And that makes me nervous. So anyways, love you guys so much. Thanks for being here. Have the best day.